The shocking truth behind why you'll never feel good enough, and how to finally heal today. In a world where every glance seems like a judgment, Ella sat alone in the corner cafe, nursing her half-empty cup of cold coffee. The dim light flickered like the fear in her heart. Everyone around was chatting, laughing, but she felt invisible, like a ghost haunting her own life. Why couldn't she feel good enough? What dark secrets lurked in the shadows of her own mind? Today was different. She could almost hear the whispers of the past. It was as if those memories wrapped around her like a thick fog, suffocating yet familiar. Suddenly, a loud crash broke the silence. A plate shattered against the floor, drawing every eye in the room. Ella's heart raced. It felt like the universe was conspiring to hold her breath hostage. She glanced up, catching the gaze of a stranger across the room. His eyes were intense, filled with a mix of concern and understanding. But who was he? Why did his presence feel oddly comforting yet terrifying? Just as they locked eyes, a chill darted down her spine, and she looked away, shaking off the strange sensation like a bad dream, but there was more. A flicker of movement made her pulse quicken. Was that a shadow darting behind her? She turned her head slightly, catching only a glimpse of a figure. It was gone in an instant. Her mind raced with questions, each one darker than the last. Was she really alone? Or was some part of her past prowling just outside her vision, waiting for the right moment to strike? Before we continue, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Ella shifted in her seat, glancing back at the stranger. He was still watching her. Their connection crackled like static electricity in the air. Just then, the bell on the cafe door jingled, and the gust of wind brought with it a sudden coolness. A tall, dark figure stepped inside, casting a long shadow that enveloped her just as the lights flickered ominously once more. Was this the moment she would finally uncover the truth behind her countless doubts? Tension hung thick, the air practically buzzing with unspoken secrets. What if she could finally face whatever lay beneath her fear? Or was this the start of something far more dangerous? The mystery loomed, waiting for her to either escape or confront her haunted heart. The moment the tall figure stepped into the cafe, silence fell like a heavy blanket. Customers froze mid-conversation, eyes darting between the newcomer and Ella, palpable curiosity and dread weaving through the room. Ella's breath hitched as she instinctively leaned back, the familiarity of the figure striking her like a lightning bolt. Was it possible? Her heart thundered in her chest, the shadows of the past whispering her name. The stranger's sharp gaze flickered around the room before landing back on her. She couldn't look away, feeling like a moth drawn to a flame. Distractingly, the air shifted, the chilling breeze snaked its fingers up her spine, sending shivers coursing through her skin. Suddenly, the comforting warmth of the cafe felt like a distant memory. Ella, the figure said, his voice low and smooth, yet holding an edge of urgency that made her pulse race. We need to talk. Panic surged through her, like a tidal wave crashing against the shore. She forced her chin up, standing against his invasive presence. I don't know you, she stammered, fighting to keep her voice steady. What did he want? Why was he here? Her pulse echoed in her ears, drowning out the chatter of the other patrons, who now looked on with wide eyes. Yes, you do. His lips curled into a tight smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. They were stormy, filled with traces of untold stories and buried fears. I'm here to help you, Ella. Her heart raced at the absurdity of his statement. Help. The word clashed against her insecurities, igniting a fire of hope and fear deep within her. What could this stranger know that could grasp the frayed edges of her chaotic mind? Meanwhile, moments hung in the air, suspended in disbelief, like everyone in the cafe held their breath, waiting for her response. She finally tore her gaze away from him, glancing back at the barista who had stopped merely to stare. The murmur of whispers rippled through the cafe. "Who is that?" she heard a woman murmur. "Is she in trouble?" A cold sweat trickled down her back. It was as though the walls of the cafe were closing in, trapping her in a moment of tightness and fear. The stranger took a slow step forward, every inch filled with unyielding intensity. "I know what happened," he said, each word laced with an unknowable weight. "And I know what you've been running from." A chill washed over her, every instinct screaming for her to flee. But her feet felt like they were glued to the spot, caught in a moment of frozen terror. Was this an opportunity to face the buried truth that haunted her? Or was it simply another trap leading her deeper into panic? "Ella, you have to listen to me." His voice trailed off, drawing the attention of the onlookers. The weight of their gazes pressed against her, the reality of being exposed throbbing like an open wound. She inhaled sharply, struggling against the suffocating dread. What had been buried deep in the crevices of her mind felt like it was clawing its way back, restlessly waiting to confront her. As the cafe faded into the background, it was them now, her and the stranger, tethered by an unseen thread woven of trauma and whispered secrets. And then, as he opened his mouth again, the lights flickered once more, plunging the cafe into darkness for an agonizing second. Ella's heart raced. Was this the moment everything changed, or the moment she feared she'd lost herself for good? All she knew was she had to choose. Would she dive into the depths of her buried memories or run from the shadows that threatened to engulf her? But just as her decision formed, the lights flickered back on, and the cafe erupted into chaos. Someone screamed, but Ella couldn't tell who it was. She felt the ground shift beneath her, and panic clawed at her throat. What had she unleashed? And what was waiting in the shadows? The chaos in the cafe surged like a storm, drowning Ella in a tide of confusion and dread. She clutched the table, feeling its cool surface beneath her fingers, anchoring her in a whirlwind of thoughts. Maybe she should run, maybe she should stay. Her heart drumbeat pulsed louder in her ears, eclipsing the frantic voices around her. What horrors lurked in the shadows? And then she saw it. A flicker of movement to her left, just a glimpse, but enough to set her nerves alight. A figure moved toward the door, slipping through the crowd as if they were mere smoke. Panic twisted in her gut. Was it just her imagination, or was danger drawing closer? "Ella!" The stranger's voice broke through the chaos, demanding her attention again. His gaze bore into hers, unyielding. "You have to trust me. I'm here to save you." Save her? The weight of his words sunk in. She had struggled alone for so long, buried in layers of denial and shame. Yet, the darkness swirled, drawing her deeper into despair. Why now? Why here? She blurted, glancing towards the door where the figure had vanished, her instincts aligning with fear. "Because it's time." The words floated through the palpable tension, stinging like an unanswered question hanging in the air. Ella's head swam with questions. Time for what? The stranger continued, his tone urgent. "What you're hiding, it's coming back for you. You can't run anymore." The crowd shifted, their hushed whispers crawling under her skin. They didn't know her story, yet they watched her unravel, an audience to her potential unraveling. The stranger moved closer, and the sharpness in his tone cut through the noise. "You think you can escape it, but you can't hide from your past, Ella. You have to confront what has been following you." She felt the air electrify between them, and for a moment, the chaos around her dimmed. The stranger's intensity wrapped around her, pulling her away from the panic and into the depths of her memory, where ghosts of the past awaited. Could he truly help her uncover the truth that lay shrouded in shadows? "I don't know how," she whispered, vulnerability creeping into her voice. His expression softened momentarily, two troubled souls colliding. "We'll face it together. But we have to leave now." Before she could respond, the lights flickered again, bathing the room in an eerie glow. A loud crash rang out from the back, drawing everyone's attention. An older man stumbled, a chair flying back as he toppled over in fright. Ella felt the world spin, something sinister lingered in the corners, building like tension before a storm. The stranger's grip on her arm tightened. "Come with me, Ella. We can't wait." Adrenaline pulsed through her veins, but doubt gnawed at her insides. Run into the unknown with a stranger? Or stay trapped amidst the chaos? She felt the walls closing in as shadows lengthened, almost like specters from her past echoing with laughter, taunting her. "Please, Ella." He insisted, his voice desperate now. "You have to trust me. It's not just you at risk, it's everything you care for." That last line jolted through her, grounding her with clarity. What if facing the past truly held the key to her future? What if it was worth the risk, the jump into the unknown? She nodded, breath trembling. "Okay, let us go." But just as they turned towards the door, her pulse quickened. A figure emerged from the shadows, blocking their escape, eyes gleaming with recognition. Ella's heart dropped. Recognition from long ago, the kind that unlocks nightmares. The stranger beside her froze, tension radiating around them both. "Ella, you know him, don't you?" The world spiraled again as the truth threatened to tear through her fragile resolve. Her breath caught in her throat. The shadows of her past had fully come into view. Was she ready for this? Would she finally understand the weight of the truth? Or would it drown her before she could rise to the surface? Wait, was all she could muster. Would she sink or swim? What awaited her in the light was about to be revealed. But would the truth be her salvation or her doom? And who was the figure, standing tall in the doorway, with secrets of their own? Ella's breath was a shallow gasp, her mind racing as she stepped back from the looming figure. He stood there, a silhouette cast against the flickering lights, his presence carrying the weight of unsaid words. The cafe, once filled with chatter, now buzzed with the tension of the unknown, like a tightly wound spring ready to snap. "Jack," she breathed, the name escaping her lips like a confession. She remembered his laughter, how it used to spark joy in her heart. But those memories were now tainted, replaced by the sharp sting of betrayal and unresolved pain. The air crackled around them, palpable and thick. Jack took a step forward, eyes locking onto hers. "It's been a long time, hasn't he it?" His voice was smooth, but Ella could hear the edge beneath it. The cafe seemed to hold its breath, all eyes on this reawakening drama. "Why are you here?" She shot back, her pulse quickening. Anger bubbled beneath her fear. You don't get to just walk back into my life like this." But Jack remained unfazed. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said softly, but there was a shaky vulnerability in his tone. "There are things you need to know, things that put you in danger. They're coming for you, Ella." Those words knifed through the tension, sinking deep into her. Danger? From who? Her mind flew back to the shadows that had haunted her, the dreams that turned vivid with every passing night. Were they all real? Had Jack returned to stir that storm? "The people I've worked with before, they know about the past, your past. They want what you have hidden." His voice lowered, a conspiratorial whisper aimed just for her. "You can't trust them. You can only trust me." A wave of nausea rolled through her. Trust? It twisted like a knife in her gut. She had allowed herself to be betrayed once, and Jack had played a part in that. "Why should I believe you?" She shot back, anger fueling her words. The floodlights above began to flicker again, throwing the room into rhythmic chaos. "Because," he pressed, his face earnest, "while I did things I regret, I never wanted to hurt you. Not like this. They want you for what you've kept hidden. If we don't leave now, it'll all come crashing down." From behind Jack, a movement caught Ella's eye. The stranger, the one who had urged her to escape, now stood primed beside her, his posture tense, face taut with determination. "We don't have time, Ella. He may know some truth, but it's the one he isn't telling that matters most." The weight of the moment pressed against her chest, a tidal wave of fear and uncertainty. Who could she trust? You don't have to choose now, he added swiftly, glancing at Jack, then back to Ella. But no, if we don't move, we'll all be trapped here together. A murmur swept through the crowd, eyes wide with curiosity and anxiety. It was surreal, an audience to her personal storm, and they weren't ready for the aftermath. Jack took another step, fingers twitching at his sides. I can help you, I swear, he insisted, desperation creeping into his voice. But if we don't go now, she felt the grasp of time slipping through her fingers. Could she revisit the past she'd tried so hard to bury? Ella looked at the stranger first, who now mirrored her uncertainty yet offered a glimmer of hope. Then, her gaze shifted to Jack, the boy who once held secrets in his smile. Ella, choose, the stranger pushed firmly. Choose safety. The noise of the cafe dulled to a distant whisper, her surroundings fading into a blur. I'm tired of choices, she finally whispered, trembling. Just as Jack reached a hand toward her, an ominous shout broke from the back, a warning that sliced through the thick air. Ella! Don't trust him. Panic erupted like fire, voices rising in an avalanche of confusion. The shadows around them danced with frantic energy. Ella stood frozen. The room spun, a stake driven between the past and the uncertain future. What was lurking out there, waiting for her next move? Before she could decide, the cafe doors swung wide, revealing a dark shape silhouetted against the bright outside. Had their time run out? Or was this merely the beginning of a far deeper nightmare? As the figure stepped into the cafe, she was left to wonder, was damnation really waiting for her, or had she finally been given a chance to reclaim her life? The stranger's body language shifted from tense to defensive, his eyes narrowing as he faced the dark figure that filled the doorway. A collective gasp rippled through the cafe, silence falling as if the world outside had ceased to exist. Ella felt the tension shocking through the room, electricity zapping her senses. Get behind me, the stranger ordered, his voice firm. Ella instinctively did so, heart pounding wildly. She could see Jack's face tighten, his features shifting from desperate to defensive in an instant. The figure stepped further into the light, a tall man, cloaked in a leather jacket that glistened ominously under the flickering bulbs. A scar ran down one cheek, and his eyes glinted with a mix of malice and determination. Ella's gut twisted. This wasn't just a stranger. This was someone who had come to collect. Jack took a step forward, jaw clenched. You shouldn't be here, Vincent, he said, tension pulsing between them like a living thing. I told you to stay away. Please, enlighten us, Jack. Is this your sweet little friend? Vincent mocked, looking right at Ella, voice dripping with sarcasm. Or just another pawn in your ever-failing game? Ella's throat tightened. What did he mean by pawn? The darkness of his words coiled around her, wrapping her tighter in dread. The cafe patron slipped deeper into shadows, anxious whispers spewing from frightened mouths. Stay back! Jack shouted, positioning himself between Ella and Vincent, but the danger pressed closer, a weight crushing the air in the cafe. Do you really think you can protect her? You think she doesn't know? Vincent laughed, a chilling sound that gnawed at Ella. She's already wrapped in the past. You, Jack, play the hero so predictable. In that moment, Ella's world spun faster. Jack was hiding something, more things he hadn't shared. Her mind raced, confusion swirling with fear. What do you mean? She called out, feeling her voice tremble. What does he know? Vincent's smile curled like a serpent. Oh, Ella, you really don't remember, do you? The secret's the truth, they're buried deep. He stepped forward, fingers flexing as rage danced through his eyes. And they're coming for you. Jack's expression shifted, desperation flooding his features. You have to listen to me, Ella. Trust me then. Without warning, Vincent lunged, aiming for Jack. The cafe erupted in chaos. A flurry of bodies surged, chairs scraping against the floor in the frantic rush to escape the impending violence. Ella's heart raced, thrumming painfully in her chest as she pressed against the wall, wide-eyed. She could feel the heat of panic rising, engulfing her. Jack swerved just in time, catching Vincent's arm, throwing him off balance. The two men clashed with force, a whirlwind of fists and determination, but all Ella could think about was the truth Vincent had hinted at. What was buried deep within her past? As the noise enveloped her, a vision flashed, a memory suffused with laughter and light, suddenly overshadowed by the darkness of betrayal. Ella! A voice pierced through her thoughts. It was the stranger, now battling his own fear. We have to go, now. No! She yelled, torn between the only two men who represented safety yet felt like chains locking her into a fate she hadn't chosen. Another crash echoed, something heavy dropping to the ground, followed by Jack's furious growl. The urgency of the moment pulled her closer to the edge. She had to decide. Was safety worth running into the unknown? Ella's voice faltered as she faced the door, uncertainty swirling. The cafe felt like a cage, every heartbeat echoing a warning. Did she turn her back on her past? Or was confronting it the only way to ever feel free again? The stakes grew higher as Vincent regained his footing, eyes fixated on Ella with hunger. He grinned, revealing teeth that seemed too sharp, too predatory. She took a step back, heart racing. What do you want from me? Everything, he said, voice dripping with menace. And it's just a matter of time before I have it. With her world collapsing around her, Ella stood, a lone figure. In a storm of chaos. The question burned within her, would she have the courage to unravel the threads of her past before it consumed her whole? Before she could answer, Vincent lunged again, and Ella felt the ground shake beneath her. Everything was about to change. What choice would she ultimately make? Without warning, Ella plunged forward, tripping over a fallen chair as chaos erupted around her. She landed hard, the cool tile biting into her palm. Jack's voice echoed in the haze, but it felt distant now, muffled by the screams and shouts that filled the cafe. Stay down, he yelled, wrestling with Vincent. The sounds of grunts and crashes punctuated the air like a desperate symphony. As Ella struggled to regain her bearings, she glanced up just in time to see Vincent take a swing, Jack barely dodging the fist that soared past him. Her instincts screamed to flee, but something held her back, the gnawing need to understand what Vincent had meant. She was part of something bigger, she felt it deep in her bones. Why are you doing this? She shouted, her voice shaky but defiant. Vincent paused, his eyes slicing through the chaos and fixating on her. He wore a twisted grin as if her inquiry amused him. Oh, sweetheart, you'll find out soon enough. Shivers coursed through her. Realization hit hard, he wasn't just threatening Jack. Vincent was poised to unleash a truth that could shatter her very existence. A sharp crack suddenly rang out, her heart lurching. Jack was on the ground now, a pained expression crossing his face as he fought to regain control. Get away from him! Ella screamed, rising to her feet despite the tremor in her legs. Every instinct told her to run, to escape the brewing storm, but she found herself stepping forward instead. Fueled by anger and something akin to resolve, she could feel the air pulsing with tension, wrapping around her like a suffocating blanket. Vincent's amusement faded, replaced by a steely glare. You think you can save him? You have no idea what's at stake. Then tell me. Ella's voice cracked, raw with emotion. Tell me the truth. The cafe's atmosphere shifted. The diners were not mere spectators anymore, and she could feel their collective breath hitching in anticipation. They were invested now, wrapped up in this strange, dangerous drama. Vincent took a step closer, his eyes narrowing. What if I told you the truth would make you wish you never asked? I don't care. She pleaded, desperation creeping into her tone. Just tell me. For a moment, Vincent hesitated, as if considering how far he'd go. Jack rolled onto his side, breathless and battered, his gaze darting between Ella and Vincent, a desperate warning flickering in his eyes. Ella! Jack rasped, reaching out, stay back. But the force of her own curiosity pushed her toward Vincent. "I'm not afraid of the truth." His lips curled in a dangerous smirk. "Fine," he said, voice low and smooth like silk. "The truth is, you're not who you think you are. Your past, it's crawling back to bite you, and I'm just the messenger. You're tangled in a web of secrets. Your life has been a lie." Ella clenched her fists, heart racing. "You're lying. This is some sick game." Vincent stepped closer, shadows cloaking his features. "Is it? Would you rather live in blissful ignorance? Or face what you truly are?" The weight of his words hung heavy, pressing down on her like a leaden fog. Jack struggled to his knees, eyes wide with concern. "Ella, don't listen to him. It's all a ploy." But Vincent was relentless. "Soon enough, you'll see. The truth stands before you, waiting to break free. You're not just caught in this mess, you're a key player." Ella's head spun. A whirlwind of emotions crashed inside her. Could it really be true? Was she part of something darker than she ever imagined? Then, without a moment's notice, he lunged again. Jack dove forward, pushing Ella out of the way, and they both hit the ground hard. Ella's breath knocked out of her as Vincent's fist found its mark, cracking against Jack's jaw. The chaos erupted further, screams piercing the air, emotions spiraling into full-blown terror. "Jack!" Ella cried out as panic surged anew. The scene blurred before her eyes, distorted by urgency and fear. No more hesitation. Before she could think, Ella sprang into action, ready to face the storm. But as she stood tall amidst the chaos, the truth loomed ever closer. And the question remained, could she confront her darkest secrets and emerge whole on the other side? Would she be brave enough to tear down the walls Vincent constructed around her past? With her heart racing and determination growing, Ella took a step forward, aware that life as she knew it was about to shatter. Would she unlock the hidden depths of her identity before it was too late? The tension hung thick in the air, waiting to snap. Ella felt time slow down as she watched Jack struggle to rise. His face contorted in pain, but there was a fire in his eyes, encouragement mixed with desperation. "Get up, Jack!" she shouted, the words torn from her throat. The cafe felt as if it were closing in around her, any hint of normalcy dissolved in a whirlwind of panic and violence. Vincent ignored her, obsessed with his own need to dominate. He prowled closer, shoulders tensed, fists clenched like coiled snakes ready to strike. "You don't get it, do you? This isn't just a fight. This is about awakening. You've been living a comfortable little lie, and it's about to unravel." Ella's pulse thundered in her ears. "What are you talking about?" She took a step toward him, her heart racing, emboldened by a mix of fury and despair. "Your parents, oh, they know the truth. They've kept it from you, hidden you away like a dirty little secret." He leaned closer. She could smell the sweat mixed with the stench of malice wafting off him. "They're afraid of what you might become." "Shut up!" Ella screamed, her voice cracking under the weight of the revelation. "You're trying to mess with my head." He laughed, a cold sound, echoed by the distressed gasps of onlookers. "Am I? Or am I just casting light on the shadows they've kept you in?" His gaze darted over to Jack, who had finally found his footing, wobbly but fierce. "Look at him. You think he's the hero? You're wrong. He's just another pawn in a game too big for you to understand." Jack lunged again, swinging wildly, desperation fueling his blows. But Vincent sidestepped effortlessly, eyes flicking back to Ella, taunting her. "How can you trust him? How can you trust anyone?" "Because I choose to." Ella shot back, her voice stronger now, a defiant blaze in her chest. Jack pushed back against the pain, determined and raw. "Ella, don't listen to him. He's a monster. And you're just his puppet." Vincent taunted, glancing at Jack as he repositioned himself. With adrenaline pumping through her veins, Ella's focus sharpened. She wasn't just fighting for Jack, she needed to fight for herself. The truth Vincent spewed wrapped around her mind like thick vines, squeezing tight. Did her parents really know something? Had they hidden her past? A flash of movement jolted her from her thoughts. Jack was charging at Vincent again. This time, it was different, the urgency of the moment igniting a spark in her spirit. "Jack!" Ella called out, a rush of clarity flooding her mind. "I know what's at stake. I'll face him." But before Jack could respond, Vincent seized the moment, capturing Jack's shoulder and pulling him into a quick, vicious jab with his other fist. Jack stumbled back, the shock ricocheting through the cafe. "No!" Ella's heart plummeted. Vincent turned back to her, his face a twisted mask of satisfaction. He was reveling in the chaos, enjoying the fear he incited. "See? In the end, nobody truly cares. Not your precious Jack, not anyone." Ella felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes, but she wiped them away with fierce resolve. "You're wrong. They love me." Love? Or control? Vincent's voice dripped with contempt, each word slicing through the air. "You were never meant to belong to them. Your destiny extends far beyond this, far beyond anything they could ever give you. Stop. Just stop." Ella shouted, her voice cracking. But inside, she felt something, a pulse igniting. Was it anger? Or the desire to know the truth, come what may? Vincent's grin widened as if feeding off her struggles. "Face it, Ella. You are not the person you believe you are. You're a piece on a chessboard, and the game is only beginning. I will be standing right here when the truth comes knocking on your door." And with that, he lunged again, aiming not for Jack this time, but for Ella. In that split second, time halted. Would she run and let the fearful shadows grip her, or would she stand her ground and uncover the truth lurking in the shadows of her past? Ella took a deep breath as adrenaline surged through her. She had to know who she was. And as Vincent struck, everything shrieked toward an inevitable end, throwing the pieces of her life into disarray. Would she find the strength to face Vincent, to challenge the very essence of her identity? The storm was only beginning to brew. Ella dodged at the last moment, her instincts kicking in just as Vincent's fist sliced through the air where she had stood. The power of his swing sent a gust of hot air past her cheek, and she felt a jolt of fierce adrenaline push her to react. Fear mixed with determination and adrenaline coursed through her, and suddenly, she wasn't just a bystander in her own life, she was the player. She ducked low, a move she never thought she'd have the guts to undertake. Vincent stumbled, caught off guard by her agility. This was her moment. The anchor of truth drew her in closer, whispering that harsh reality: she had to fight. Not just for Jack, not just against Vincent, she needed answers. "Is this your idea of awakening?" she shouted, her voice louder now, reverberating through the stunned crowd, battling the truth with brute force. Vincent straightened, his expression turning to one of annoyance. "You think you can turn the tables, don't you? But weakness will always reveal itself in a fight. You'll crumble." "Maybe," she panted, hands trembling at her sides, "but not today." Jack coughed behind her, the pain still etched on his face, but his gaze sparked with hope. "Ella, don't let him get inside your head." She glanced back, finding strength in his faith. "I refuse to be anyone's pawn." Vincent laughed, a chilling sound that echoed around them while the cafe patrons watched, astonished and silent. "You think emotions make you formidable? Look around you. This is not your battlefield, Ella. You're still trapped in your cozy life, playing pretend." "Maybe you're right," she said slowly, her heart pounding. An idea bloomed in her mind, lending her the courage to move forward. "But I won't hide anymore. You talk about truth. Then let's face it together." Vincent moved in again, fists raised, but Ella stood her ground, each breath steadying as she faced him. She could feel the weight of Jack's gaze, the energy rising around them, fueling her with raw resolve. Suddenly, time snapped back to its brutal rhythm. With a fierce shout, she lunged at Vincent, remembering every lesson she had ever learned about fighting. Dodging left, she landed a kick to his shin, surprised by the strength in her legs. He staggered back, caught off guard, a flicker of anger crossing his face. The crowd gasped. "See? I'm not a pawn, I'm the queen," Ella exclaimed, the words coursing through her like fire. She had to keep moving. She pivoted to Jack, who was now slowly getting back to his feet. "Jack. We stand together." Vincent's eyes narrowed, his brows furrowing as he calculated his next move. "You think teamwork will save you?" he challenged. "You're bound to fail. The narrative has been set long before you entered the playing field." But she refused to back down. "You think you can unearth something in me? You've only scratched the surface." With fury and desperation, Jack charged back into the fray, fists flying, and Ella mimicked his movement. Together, they became a whirlwind of fierce duo battling not just Vincent but the darkness that clung to their truths. But in the chaos, a small detail began to peel at the edges of Ella's consciousness, nagging for attention, a distorted shape in the distance, someone waiting quietly in the corner, watching it all unfold. In the moment of action, did she dare to glance away? Was this person a threat? An ally? Or perhaps a piece of her puzzle she had yet to discover? As she swung at Vincent, she caught a fleeting glimpse of them, and cold dread tightened around her throat. The real question loomed: who else would rise when the storm passed? Would she be ready to unearth her own past? And as the shadows stirred, Ella braced herself for a clash that would force her to confront everything she had ever known. Ella refocused on the fight, the world around her fading into a blurred backdrop. She had a path forward, a mission. Every jab and weave was a declaration of her strength, but that shape lingered in the corner of her mind. She could almost feel its eyes boring into her, studying her every move. Vincent lunged forward again, determination etched on his face. He swung wide, but Ella ducked just in time. She could see Jack behind Vincent, readying himself for another strike. "I got this. Just keep him occupied," Jack shouted, breath ragged, his spirit unyielding despite the pain. Fueled by Jack's insistence, Ella moved faster, striking Vincent's side with an elbow. He grunted, visibly staggered, but the sneer returned quickly. "Don't you get it? You're running in circles," Vincent barked, wiping sweat from his brow. "All of this pointless. You're just a footnote in a much larger story." "What would you know about my story? You don't know who I am," Ella retorted, her voice firm. She pushed forward, giving it everything she had. But as she struck again, that feeling nagged at her like a blister. Ella couldn't shake the thought of the figure lurking, untouched by the chaos, just a flicker in the corner of her eye. Every time she tried to concentrate completely on Vincent, that shape pulled her focus back. The crowd was still, an amalgamation of frightened bystanders and turned-away eyes. Muffled whispers drifted through the air, as the tension wrapped tightly around them all. It was suffocating. "Why don't you just give it up?" Vincent taunted, his breath steaming between them. "This is where your petty rebellion ends." Ella's heart raced. There was a well of defiance bubbling inside her, refusing to let his words control the narrative of this fight. "You're wrong if you think I'll stop now," she shouted, pouring everything she had into her voice. With adrenaline surging, she feinted left and brought her knee up into Vincent's gut, sending him gasping backward. The crowd shrank back, a collective intake of breath echoing in the café, and for the briefest moment, hope flickered, but the weight of that figure's presence pressed heavily on her mind, taunting her. She couldn't ignore it any longer. A deeper instinct, a primal urge, pulled her to glance away from her opponent. Just a quick peek. Was it regret? Was it fear? A slither of vulnerability lingered, but it was time to confront it. As her gaze drifted to the edge of the café, she saw the face, perfectly still. Her gut twisted. It was someone she recognized, but she couldn't breathe their name. The familiarity was unnerving, like staring into the depths of her own past. The momentary distraction shattered her focus, and before she knew it, Vincent charged again. She barely twisted out of the way in time. The punch barely brushed her shoulder, but the momentum pushed her toward the exit. Panic flared. "Kick him down, Ella!" Jack yelled, concern clawing at his voice. "Don't look away." "I can't," that as she started but was cut off by an explosion of noise erupting from the corner of the cafe. The figure stepped forward, and an unmistakable shout rang out from their lips. "Ella, it's not what you think." Her breath hitched. What was going on? Everything she thought she knew blurred. The world narrowed, the fight, the figure, their words crashing together. Vincent's laughter filled the space, harsh and unforgiving. "Who are you waiting for? They can't save you." His eyes glinted with certainty, but in the downtime between Vincent's cunning taunts and the identity that taunted her thoughts, the truth ripped open, waiting to shatter everything she believed. The silence felt deafening, churning with a moment pregnant with potential revelations. Who was this person, and how could they hold such a powerful grip on her? It wasn't just her life at stake anymore. What if the fate of those she loved was tied to the truth of this stranger's presence? Yet as the shadow loomed larger, Ella knew this fight was only beginning. What was she going to do when the answers came crashing down? And in that electrifying moment, she realized the darkness was just warming up. Ella stood frozen, the weight of Vincent's taunts clawing at the back of her mind. The figure, the familiar face, brought a rush of memories, flashes of laughter twisting into shadows. Who were they, and what truths lay buried with them? "I said it's not what you think." The figure shouted, cutting through the chaos, their voice trembling with urgency. Ella's heart raced. Could they really know her? Did they hold pieces of the puzzle she desperately sought? "Ella, focus!" Jack called out, the intensity in his voice yanking her back into the present. Vincent was still there, his sneer growing more predatory by the second, weight shifting in his stance like a predator sizing up its prey. "You can't let distractions deter you." But how could she? The truth she'd been buried beneath for so long was clawing its way back, demanding to be released. "Enough games, Ella. You're still blinded by your choices." Vincent sneered, and tension crackled between them. The crowd held its breath, time itself hanging in the balance. "You want the truth? Your past? It's a wreck, and I'm here to dig it up." "I know more than I did yesterday," she shot back, a newfound strength anchoring her ground. "If you want to unleash hell, you'll have to face me first." Vincent clenched his jaw, disbelief flickering across his features. "You think you're brave, but every step you take is a step toward ruin. You're just building a house of cards." Ella's pulse quickened, fury pushing the fear aside. She didn't have to be a pawn, she could weave her own path. "I'm not afraid of you or your lies. I'll uncover what's mine." Then she turned, eyes burning into the figure at the edge of the cafe. "Who are you?" she demanded. The figure stepped closer, vulnerability shining amid the chaos. "Ella, please listen. I used to know who you were before they twisted it into something dark. I'm here to help you find your truth." But all Ella could think about was the truth lurking within her, all those shadows creeping around her edges. Was this person the key to unlocking everything, the missing piece she'd been so desperate to confront? "I don't need lies," Ella shouted. "And I won't be bullied into submission anymore." The cafe erupted again as Jack found the bravery to take a swing at Vincent, momentarily distracting him. The moment Vincent began to turn his rage from Jack to Ella, she surged forward. With the adrenaline coursing through her veins and the words of the figure still echoing in her mind, she seized her chance. "I'm done hiding," she cried, defiance simmering. She kicked hard, connecting with Vincent, and for a fleeting second, she saw his confidence crack. "You want to know where I stand? Right here at the brink of my own truth." Vincent stumbled back, pain flashing across his face. The shift in the cafe murmur grew, a collective sense of anticipation igniting hope in the crowd. Jack, scrambling back to his feet, shouted Ella. Together. And she nodded fiercely. They were a force now, united against the darkness threatening to pull them under. But Vincent growled, rage boiling within him. You both think you can win. Your future is already in chains. He swung wildly, and again, the world slowed. Ella ducked, heart racing, fueled by the desperation to uncover who she really was past doubts and all that shame bursting around her. The figure had sparked something inside an ember glowing red hot. Enough. She roared. Vincent, if you want to play games, then so be it. But it's my turn now. And in that moment, something fundamental shifted. Ella stepped forward, fists raised, uncertainty replaced by fierce fire. She wasn't a pawn. She was the player, fighting for her identity, her truth, and those she cared about. With one surge of energy, she charged, her heart pounding rhythmically against her ribs. Their eyes locked for one final moment. She could feel the pressure of secrets, love, and fear swirling like a tempest around them. I choose freedom. She shouted as she unleashed a flurry of movement, kicking and striking with precision. Vincent fell back against the weight of determination. Coursing through her, and just for an instant, the cafe held its breath. Their world was a coliseum, and Ella had just earned her crown, and then as fast as a flash, as if the universe had spun just for them, the spirit of truth swept into the room. As she landed a final blow, the ground felt like it had been pulled from beneath their feet, the remnants of darkness, both Vincent's and her own, shattering like fragile glass. Time stretched, and she looked at Jack, who smiled fiercely. Together, they had fought against the shadows, and the path forward shone before them, bright and unyielding. They had a future to uncover, together, forged from the lessons of pain and strength. The cafe erupted in cheers, but Ella knew this was just the beginning. She turned to the figure, now stepping out of the gloom. And you tell me who you are. Please. I need to understand. With a nod, the stranger stepped closer, catching her breath. I'm someone who can help you reclaim what was lost. I know the truth about you, what you've been denied. In that moment, the weight of her past began to lift. A mix of anticipation and fear coursed inside her. But one thing was clear, the journey ahead would be her own, and she was ready. As she dragged her eyes back to Vincent, something shifted within her. Everything is about to change. And it would. Now it was time for closure, healing, and the building of a new life. Time to turn the page and step into the light. Now, it's your turn, dear friends. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Flood the comments with your reactions and theories about this explosive ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support for our community.